put that in for you. It's creating the extraordinarily wonderful food that we have in New Zealand, whether you concentrate on the, more the vegetarian side or the meat side. And if we get all this right, we can put New Zealand back in its proper place in the world, which is, of course, already in the lead.
Thank you very much, Jacqueline. Right, we have a little bit of time for questions, so we'll open it up to the floor.
Thank you, Professor. New Zealand seems headed down a track of environmentally friendly produce that we can market to the world because the world demands environmentally friendly produce. It concerns me. We seem to see a lot of these surveys, and you present one earlier on, where the public seemingly require such products. The question never seems to be asked, are they prepared to pay for it? And I draw a comparison, I guess, to our Chinese friends. We all deplore the work standards and the pay of the Chinese tailor.
Yep.
We'd all be pretty naked without their clothes. We buy quality, and we base it on price.
Yep.
I'm just concerned that if we go too far, well, I wouldn't say too far down this track, but the concern is we, as the producers, will pay the money to meet these requirements. Will we necessarily see a return, or will the British consumer just say the cheapest block of butter rather than the New Zealand one?
Totally agree with you. And I think it was back at the beginning of the century when I was saying customers are fickle. And Tom Lambie, who is bigger than I am, said you're not allowed to say that. You have to say they have preference. Well, I always try and do what Federated Farmers people say. So I now say customer preference is a big issue for us. And they are extraordinarily fickle. You know that over the summer, the UK summer and ours, the bottom fell out of the organics market because people are not prepared to pay that 40% extra. So there's our challenge, but it's what we make to math in terms of everything that we're doing here in terms of the emissions and the restrictions, that actually other countries are not quite so restrictive, and indeed the markets change. Now, when I'm looking at all the trends in terms of food, people are coming away from organics, but they are concerned about environment. And so the extra, as long as the extra amount isn't huge, for a while we will be all right. And the idea about developing flexible production systems is that we can move without too much difficulty. Remembering organics will take you 5 years to get there, and bugger me days they stop buying. Whereas environmental sustainability, that is becoming more important than an organics label. And environmental sustainability makes sense for all of us, as long as we've got the right sort of products to use in terms of managing the nutrients. And that's why Fertiliser Manufacturers Research Association, for instance, puts quite a lot of money into not only their new chemicals, but also the training of their staff, so that they're poised and ready to help.
Okay, thank you. Now I've got 4 questions, and that's all I'm going to take at this point, so keep your questions short so Jacqueline can spend the time on the answer. Willie.
Thank you, and thank you for helping the other day with the Principals Day out in Canterbury. It was very successful. The biggest problem we have is probably not the lack of money or whatever research we want to do, is the lack of people that study agriculture science mainly. Because I don't think we need a hell of a lot more farmers, we need a hell of a lot more people that do science and run our businesses in the future. I think currently we only have 153 people enrolled in between Lincoln and Massey University.
Graduates, Willie.
Graduates, yes.
100 graduates, the latest data in 2006, Ministry of Education has stuck the 2007 data, but are trying to sort it out. 100 graduates from the whole of New Zealand in agricultural science, probably another 100 in Bachelor of Commerce brackets agriculture. Terrible.
How many lawyers? My goal is to go get in Lincoln at least 750 in 5 years.
That would be absolutely wonderful. You've got to pay them. And one of the things that I talk to about schools is that the average graduate salary is about 42,000, unless you happen to be in the performing and creative arts, at which point there are 2,153 of them. Graduates, that's 3 and 4 year degrees. We've got to pay them all. My graduates are getting salary packages of 55,000, and we say, so how about staying on for honours? And the salary package is 55,000, and they say, why would I stay for honours? Oh, because that lets you go into a PhD, and what's your salary when you come out of a PhD? 55,000. These are bright kids. They're not going to spend another 4 or 5 years on the student loan so that they could get what they could have got in the first place. So there's part of our issue, but it comes back to the kudos, the value that we're putting on what we do. And legislation and the system in which we work, in terms of every couple of years you get reviewed for your salary. And you know what your industry is like, and dirty daring, so that's why I congratulated the media right at the beginning for getting a positive one out there. They don't want to come in here, they don't want to give their good name to something that isn't valued. We value the creative and performing arts, so in terms of law, it depends which section you're in, about 420. We've got 140 in art history. Have we got to Papa? One. But we've got another 420 in recreational sports stuff, so your children should be all fine to be coached. Where are the signals? That's why the PGP is so important. Send the signals from the government and the students will follow.
He's taking a risk, Jack.
And Carl, as long as we're not talking about the creative and performing arts, I have earned money acting. I did not need to do a degree for it. I teach.
I really agree with your comments that we need to spend more money on research and development and employ more scientists and engineers, but the real question is how do we achieve that? And because as a farmer, I want to be paid as much as possible for my product, and I think there's a real dilemma there that to enable us to survive and grow, and our business that we have to we virtually get every cent that we can earn offshore. So do we need to source outside investment or outside capital, if you like, to invest in our industries here to facilitate and spend more on that? And similarly with our people, the ones that qualify, and it's happened in my family, how do we stop them going offshore to when they get paid more? And I think a really good example is Icebreaker and Jeremy Moon, that sources his product with merino wool here in New Zealand. But when we look at where he is now, he started here in New Zealand, but he's relocated to offshore, sourced outside capital in his industry, but he's still utilising that product back here in New Zealand that he's selling to the world.
One of the things that is in the literature holding New Zealand back is the foreign investment and the lack of it, and the government hasn't chosen to put any incentives in. But the problem with foreign investment is that it is fickle, or should I say preference, and people suddenly change their minds. So Ireland had a major problem when Motorola suddenly pulled out and they closed things down. That can be worse than continuing on your own. The challenge with New Zealanders is that they want to be their own bosses, so clearly Fonterra, your shareholder people, same for the fertiliser companies, they're not going to want to sell bits off because that loses control. And a big thing about New Zealand is we do want to have control of what we're doing. So we match environment and all of those things. How do we keep the kids here? We value what they do. Now, Jim Anderton has walked in at the back. Part of what he was doing with the fast forward process was saying there are scholarships for areas in which we see New Zealand's future and we will value the people. When I'm talking to schools, about a third of them, usually girls, will say they want to save the world. That's why I'm in agriculture. About a third of them will say they want to make money. You can do that in agriculture, and I give them the figures. And another third, they haven't decided, but they want to be valued. That's what we need to fix. I say, come this way. Agriculture is where you should be, and here is the spectrum. Your country needs you, and we can create. What do you want? Oh, yes, that's what I do, and I show them the various things that can be done. So we can fix that. But here comes again, Gordon. The generations that are 30 to 15, and there's no reason for the zappers, the 14 and below, to be any